I'm Kim Quick, the creator to the Forever Love Formula online event. I can't wait until you dive into this next episode. I created this event so you can discover the ultimate keys to successful dating and have a lasting love, so that you can confidently navigate the dating process, literally turn on a faucet of quality men, and joyfully choose an amazing man for you and have a lasting love. So step right in and enjoy this next episode to the Forever Love Formula online event. Hey there, it's Kim Quigg, love and relationship expert and the host of the Forever Love Formula. And today's expert, we have Helena Hart. Hi, Helena.
Hi, Kim. Thank you so much for inviting me to come on. I'm really excited to jump into this topic today.
Oh, me too. And so are the ladies. And Helena is a certified life and relationship coach with a master's degree in psychology, author, and master coach teacher. And she helps people all over the world effortlessly attract love into their lives. And she can get results for you really quickly. So we are going to be talking about how we can be in our feminine and attracting a great guy when we're dating. And so also too, we're really looking how to set ourselves up for success in dating so we have that lasting love.
Yes, I love talking about feminine energy. It's kind of what I'm known for. So I would love to answer any questions you have about that. And I'm excited to jump in today.
Okay, so let's just backtrack a little bit. Now, what would you say would be the definition of being in your feminine?
Great question. Yeah, this is a great place to start. So we all have both masculine and feminine energy inside of us. Men and women have both, right? And they both play a really important role in our lives. So masculine energy is the part of us that's about doing things and thinking and solving problems, making decisions. Anytime you need to figure something out or get something done, you're in your masculine energy. And feminine energy is the opposite. It's the part of us that's about feeling and being in the moment, experiencing, intuiting what's going on around you and expressing yourself from that place. Responding is a feminine energy quality, whereas initiating is masculine energy. So it's just the opposite. Also, trusting and allowing are also hugely feminine energy qualities as well.
Yeah, oh, that was good. And so now, how can this play out when we are dating?
Great question. So, most women that come to me and who I work with are very kind of super smart, successful, driven, ambitious women. I'm sure you experience the same with your clients, right? And I think that's great. So this is not about squashing your masculine energy down and making certain parts of yourself smaller. I like to think of it as ramping up both your masculine and your feminine, just using them in a way that works for you in your love life, really in every area of your life, rather than against you. So if you are in your masculine energy when you're working, that's fantastic. Like I mentioned, anytime you need to get things done or figure things out, scheduling, analyzing, planning, that works great in other areas of your life. But when you're dating and you are stuck in your masculine energy and you're just not in touch with that other side of yourself, you can tend to push men away, especially if they're masculine energy men. If they're coming at you with their masculine energy and you're just, coming at them with your masculine, it's like a magnet, the two charges just push each other away. So I teach women how to sort of get in touch with their feminine energy and tap into that so they can draw a man in. It's like taking that magnet and turning it. So you're pulling him in with your feminine energy rather than, pushing him away, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And so, okay, so we're talking about, we want to be more in our feminine. Well, let's back up though. What are some of the examples of when you're in your masculine with a man when you're dating?
Great question. So like I mentioned, initiating is a masculine energy quality, whereas responding is feminine. So a lot of women come to me and they're the ones always initiating contact with a man. So in dating, being in your masculine looks like this: always being the one to initiate contact, planning things, moving things along, out of a fear that, a man will just fizzle away if you don't, right? So many women are like, well, if I stop doing all these things, a man's just going to drop off. And that's usually not the case. So being the one to contact him first, always driving to him, paying for everything all the time, basically anything that looks like making it really easy for him and moving things forward on your own.
Okay, very good, very good. So now we can kind of see what does this look like when I'm in my masculine? So you're the one that's more doing the planning and, advising or, initiating the calls. But one of the things I think that happens, Helena, and I see this in online dating too, is that you might have made a connection online and you exchange numbers, and say the man, now he's just texting you all the time. And it's been like a week or two and he hasn't asked you out. And so women feel frustrated and they're like, what am I supposed to do here?
I love it. Great. I love that you mentioned that example because it's one that I hear all the time from women. So also responding and expressing yourself, like I mentioned, very feminine qualities. So it is absolutely fantastic to state your desires, express your boundaries and your needs and what would feel good to you. These are all feminine energy things. So we'll go with your example. Let's say a woman's online dating, the guy is just texting or messaging back and forth, saying something like, it would feel so good getting to know you, and I'm feeling a little burnt out on this dating app or, texting or messaging, whatever it is. It would feel good to match your photo with your voice. What do you think? And seeing what he does. And I've really found that most men are, even masculine energy men, need a little, I don't want to say direction, a little encouragement, because especially online dating, they're used to being rejected. Maybe the last 5 women said, no, it's too soon to talk on the phone when they suggested it, right? So they don't know, what to do. So most men would be thrilled if a woman just said, it would feel really great to connect over the phone, feels good getting to know you. And if he doesn't pick up the ball and run with it from there by asking for your number or, calling you, then you know that he's a time waster. He's not a masculine energy man. Maybe he just wants that, text buddy relationship.
I love that you said that, Helena. Like, first of all, so, well, there's so many good nuggets in there because, that men a lot of times have been rejected, and so they're they're a little bit fearful what to do, right?
Absolutely. They don't want to come across, especially, in this day and time, like they don't want to come across as pushy or, crossing that boundary. So a lot of men now, they just need the green light, and that doesn't mean that you're saying, give me your number, we need to talk on the phone, so it's coming from a masculine energy place, but just leaning back and expressing like, hey, it feels great getting to know you. It would feel lovely to connect over the phone or to meet up sometime, then letting him take it from there. Just giving him the green light while having boundaries, staying in your feminine energy at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. So, you're putting out like, I call that, it's like a nudge, a little nudge, and see how he responds. And then if he doesn't respond, then it's like, okay, this man's not me.
Exactly. Like I mentioned, most men would be thrilled to have a green light like that, to know that it's, that it's okay to give you a call or to move it into real life.
Yeah, exactly. And then, we also have, I guess, then we go out on, finally you have a phone call and you're going to go out on a date. And is there any tips that you can give when they're out on a date to being in your feminine, attract a great guy?
Oh yeah, so many. How much time do we have? I have so many tips. Okay, one really, really simple tool is you can think of masculine energy as leaning forward, physically, verbally, mentally, emotionally. Anytime you're leaning forward, you're in your masculine energy. So leaning back is just a quick, easy tool. Next time you're with a man, it could be your man, it could be a man you're on a date with, try physically just leaning back in your chair, and you'll see if he's a masculine energy man, if he's interested and attracted to you, he will instinctively start to lean towards you. It's a physical demonstration of how this works. Also, when you're on dates, like verbally leaning back. And this is something I always struggled with, because as women, we want to like fill in those awkward pauses a lot of times, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like we pick up the slack for men, so kind of letting that space happen, and without always trying to fill in that space in conversation. A man will step up. It's pretty amazing. He will still figure it out. He will say something, and he's going to feel more attracted and connected to you if you're like a little comfortable with that silence and just, letting things simmer between the two of you, rather than always like jumping in, trying to fill those pauses in conversation. So just leaning back in every sense of that term will keep you in your feminine energy when you're on dates with men.
Oh, that's brilliant. Just to relax and, don't fulfill in the spaces. And we tend, I think, to do that as women.
Absolutely. I still do it. This doesn't come natural to most of us, especially those of us who are really like driven and ambitious. When we take that energy and try to turn it onto a man, like on a date or in a relationship, it just doesn't work. It just pushes that man away, or it'll cause you to attract feminine energy men who need that if you're single and dating. So if you want a masculine energy man, and pretty much every woman I talk to, that's what they want, a man who knows what he wants, is comfortable going after it and moving things forward, you have to learn how to shift into your feminine energy. And it has to be authentic. You can't be faking this.
That brings up a really great point, because I just, I have a community, a Facebook group, and one of the ladies asked, or she brought up that this seems like I'm being manipulative, or this seems like I'm not being my real self. And so what would you say to that?
I'm so glad you just read my mind. I'm so glad you brought that up. I hear that all the time. I don't know if you hear this too, but women say, well, I'm just not like that. I'm just not like that. And, anytime I hear someone talk in finites, like, well, I'm just not this way. We all have these sides of ourselves. We do. It's in there, like waiting to be uncovered. We all have emotions, right? We all have body sensations and things that you can kind of, it's just, where are you putting your focus? Are you stuffing that part of yourself down? It's in there. It's in there waiting to be uncovered. So it's not about pretending, because none of this will work if you're pretending. It has to be authentic. And so it's about tapping into this deeper part of yourself and expressing that. It's the opposite of pretending. It's becoming more expansive, rather than stuffing parts of yourselves down, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just a part of you that is actually, like you said, it's innately in there, but we've disconnected to it because of things, that have happened. And we're so used to using that, in our workplace. So it does feel uncomfortable when you are starting to try to be in your feminine. It probably feels inauthentic to you.
It feels unnatural at first. Yeah, I think so many of us have kind of been brought up placing our worth or our value on what we can like do or accomplish or give to others. So the idea of just leaning back and someone loving us for who we are, not for what we can do or give to them, is kind of a foreign concept to so many of us, for lots of different reasons, like you said. But yeah, so completely different way of going about things, but so much easier and less painful than trying to like push and shove your way into trying to get what you want from a man, right?
Yeah, and when I realized, because believe me, I mean, I grew up with a mom that said, "Be independent, don't count on a man."
Me too. Yep.
It was ingrained in us, and then, and I'm very results oriented, and so, when I was out in the dating world and started to learn these things, it definitely made a difference. I started to see a shift in, the quality men that I started to date, and then leading to, this amazing man that I married a couple of years ago. So, and it's still a practice.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, I gave up trying to be perfect with this stuff a long time ago because it's not about being perfect, and you'll start to see men actually fall in love with you for your flaws, your so-called flaws, what you believe to be your imperfections. It's not about having the perfect thing to say all the time. It's about kind of uncovering these deeper parts of yourself and being vulnerable and expressing yourself. That's what makes a man see you and know you're the one right away and makes him feel compelled to pursue you.
Oh, that's so good, because that's so true. Like how, and I used to do this too. Like I tried to cover up my flaws. I didn't want him to see everything about me, because I was afraid, he wouldn't like me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's those things. If you were to ask everyone watching, if you were to ask your man, or, a man that you've been with, what was it that made you fall in love? You'd probably be surprised. I've heard things like, you really seem like someone who needed love, or, these vulnerable parts of ourselves that we want to hide from others or even hide from ourselves. That's where you want to go and kind of learn how to be vulnerable and open up in baby steps, while having boundaries at the same time. That's like the most powerful place you can come from.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, Helena, because being feminine does not mean a man's walking all over you. It's actually being feminine is having boundaries.
Exactly. Yeah. Just the opposite of being a doormat, saying no to something that doesn't feel good to you and walking away is such a feminine energy quality. Unfortunately, there's this misconception out there that being feminine just means like waiting around, being at the whim of whatever a guy wants to do, letting him come and go as he pleases. And that just couldn't be further from the truth. It's the most powerful place you can come from. It's actually the way you can protect yourself most seriously, because when you're in your feminine energy, your intuition kicks in and you can really feel like, okay, is this a good situation for me? Can I stay here? Or does something about this not feel good? Do I need to take a step back? Your feelings and your intuition are like your best friends. They're your guide to whether or not this is a good situation for you. If you're leaning forward, trying to make something happen in your masculine energy, you're cut off from that intuition. Your perception gets really clouded, and it can be difficult to make those choices. And you start to like not trust yourself. I don't know if you've experienced that, but I know I certainly have.
Oh yeah, believe me, we can go on all day with the stories I've had where I wasn't in my feminine, I wasn't trusting myself. And that's a really great point too. If you're finding yourself doing most of the work, then it is time that you need to step back. And so that way, because I think too, because you're more in that frustration mode, you're wanting to make something happen, and you're not able to be in your more intuitive, relaxed self to be able to feel what's really going on here.
Yeah, that's one of the first things I hear. It's funny you brought that. I've never really talked too much about this before, but yeah, one of the first things I hear from my clients when I have them leaning back and stop trying to make something happen constantly, especially with men who are like halfway out the door or, just not available for what they want. When they stop trying to make things happen, their perception clears up and they're able to really see for the first time this man or this situation for what it really is, which is often he's like halfway out the door, and they're so afraid of just letting go and leaning back because they think that's going to send him out the door completely. It's really interesting how it works.
Yeah, and so either one or two things are going to happen. Either he is going to leave, and then good
Mm-hmm.
riddance, because
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
you want anyway. Or number two, he leans in, like you said, he leans in, and you gave him that opportunity because you pulled back.
Exactly. I love how you put that. Yeah, it's like when you kind of come into alignment with who you are this way, the right people for you just step right up, and it's the most effortless thing in the world. You don't have to really do a lot, and the wrong people just fade away. And I think that's a great thing, like you said, because it's just creating the space for an even better man to step in, a man who actually wants to make the effort to be in your life.
Exactly. And that's what this event is all about, is dating success to have lasting love. And that's one, being in your feminine is, I think, one of the top areas where to step into. so you can have that lasting love just based upon those points you were making. If you're leaning back, being in your feminine, you can see what's going on. You can see that, is this man willing to step up and be there for you like you want?
Yeah, one thing I always say, I know this is a strong statement, but I'm a huge fan of strong statements because I've really found it to be true. The great thing about being a woman is that getting a man to see how wonderful you are and to fall in love and want to pursue you doesn't really involve any effort at all. Effort in the traditional sense of I have to show him how great I am and prove myself to him or win him over. All of that stuff does the opposite of what you actually want. It's simply about being who you are. That's feminine energy, just being, not doing something or trying to prove yourself to him or win him over in some way. The work, in my opinion, is on yourself and your own blocks to love so that the right guy just shows up and it's completely effortless.
Yes, and that's what we want, isn't it? That we
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Want it to be effortless. And that reminds me, because God, I can go on for 20 years, dated with a lot of effort.
Mm-hmm.
When I started to learn these principles and some other things, and how I think and my beliefs, that it was so easily to attract and be with a great guy and get married.
Yeah, it's amazing. When we're in our masculine energy, or when we're choosing men from our masculine energy, we can tend to kind of put that guy on a pedestal. I know I certainly used to do this, and then we can't help it. When we have a guy on a pedestal in our minds, we tend to want to go after him. So if you've made the man the goal or the prize in your mind, that's a big clue you're in your masculine energy, and you need to shift that around. Start seeing yourself as the prize. Not in like an egotistical way, but just in a really confident, authentic feminine way. That's all you really need to do.
Yeah, he would be lucky to have me.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Coming from the place is, okay, is this a good match for me? Not, am I good enough for him? How do I get him to commit to me, or how do I get him to move things forward? If you're coming from that place, you've already kind of lost that game. Not that it's a game, but it should, the man, if he's interested, he knows what to do. You have to trust that the right guy is going to want to move things forward. And all you have to do is respond, show up, say yes, feel good, express yourself, express your boundaries, and be in the moment.
Yeah, that is wonderful. And was anything else you would say, Helena, around, is there any other signs women should look for in terms of, maybe they're attracting the wrong type of guy, the man not for them?
Oh gosh, yeah, I have so much to say on all of that. One thing I say that a lot of women haven't heard before is, we attract a mirror image of our own masculine energy. Remember how I said we all have both, right?
Yeah.
So if your masculine energy is, let's say you're attracting men who keep you waiting or who don't want to commit. Where are you waiting in other areas of your life? This was certainly the case for me. Where are you not committing to yourself and your own desires? Where are you kind of waiting for your love life to get on track before you make your own dreams come true? That's one example. If you're attracting men who make you feel like you're not quite good enough, where are you judging yourself? Where are you being hard on yourself? They're all showing up as like a mirror or a reflection. And that can be kind of like a hard pill to swallow for a lot. And, the last thing I want you to do is beat yourself up or blame yourself. Obviously that won't help you, because you'll just attract men who want to do that to you as well, right? So you can take a look though. Okay, you can see the progression of how you're doing on the inside by the kind of men that are showing up in your life. So if men are showing up and they want to abandon you or hurt you, you're not quite there yet. But as a different kind of man starts showing up, you're making shifts on the inside, if that makes sense. And then choosing from your feminine energy rather than your masculine energy is really important. Choosing based on how it feels to be with this man. How relaxed are you around him? How much do you feel like you can just be yourself in his presence and he really likes you and accepts you for exactly who you are, rather than choosing from your masculine energy? For example, choosing a man because on paper he looks great or he looks good physically or something like that, and then your masculine energy making that choice for you, which, like I mentioned, will cause you to put him on a pedestal and make you want to go after him. Hopefully I said that clearly. Does that make sense?
No, I've never heard that before. That's really brilliant. And that choose a man based upon being in your feminine.
Exactly. Yeah. So that could look like, here's the new criteria, right? His energy is coming towards you. For number one, his energy is coming towards you, and you feel good about yourself when you're with him, both when he's right in front of you and when he's not. So much of the time, we women can get very caught up in how we feel about a man, like, oh, he's so brilliant and funny and successful and gorgeous, and then see how we put him on a pedestal like that, and we're completely ignoring how we feel about ourselves. So just pay attention to how you feel about yourself when you're with him, and is his energy coming towards you consistently? Those are like the top two things I would look for.
Okay, like, yeah, so if you start to see you're like idolizing this man, just thinking, wow, I could see, wow, he seems like a great catch, and so it's going, okay, stop. How do I really feeling around this man?
Exactly. And a lot of women say, like, well, when we're together, it feels great. The chemistry's off the charts. But then when he's not there, let's say he disappears for a week, then they start to feel anxious or insecure, right? Well, that's something to pay attention to. That's your intuition kind of signaling that something's off. Your feelings are always an indicator that things are going well. This is a good situation, or something is amiss, and might be something to look at.
Exactly. That I'm glad you brought that up, Helena, because that is so true. Like, you feel, oh, so good, so connected with him.
Yeah.
Then when you're away, or he's away, you're away from each other, you have this anxiousness. You're wondering where this is going. Believe me, I've been there. So.
Oh yeah, we all have, So it's a whole different way of going about it. Basically, it's like hooking up your feelings of attraction and chemistry with a man's masculine action towards you. So if he's acting loving and wonderful and pursuing you and moving things along, that's great. When he's not doing that, when you start to get bored and lose interest, when a man pulls away or doesn't treat you right, you're on the right track. Unfortunately, at first, a lot of times when a man pulls away, it kind of stirs something up in us and causes us to want to lean forward and get him back and go after him. So once you switch all of this around to where the opposite happens, then you've really got something, right? That's really the whole thing right there.
Wonderful. So any last words of wisdom before we wrap up?
Oh gosh, so many. Just that this is, we didn't touch on trusting and allowing. Those are kind of like the last pieces of, if you just trust that the right man for you is going to know you're the one, or know he's interested, and then you can just lean back and allow things to unfold, in the right timing, rather than I used to feel kind of like an octopus, like have 8 arms and everything, trying to micromanage every situation with every guy that showed up. And you just don't have to do that, when you're coming from your feminine energy, just trusting and allowing that things are unfolding the way they're supposed to. Everything's always working out for you. And if you have this desire for a great relationship, that is absolutely guaranteed to you. There's no big prices to pay. It's on its way to you. You just have to believe that it's possible and kind of hold that vision for yourself, and then kind of watch expectantly for it to unfold in your life experience.
Wow, that was so beautiful. I love that. That's much more peaceful place to just, relax back, and it's, trusting that you are going to have a great man in your life. It will unfold perfectly, and it's just a matter of, you being in your feminine, having that awareness, and to all those other tips that you talked about, which were amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad this was helpful. This was really fun. I hope everyone got a lot out of it.
Oh, I know they did. I know for sure. And so thank you so much for being here. Really loved your contribution.
Thank you. Yes. And I have, I don't know if you're including a link. I have my 3 keys to attract the man you want report and audio training free on my website for anyone who watches this interview. And hopefully that will give you some more tips that hopefully you haven't heard before. I love hearing that feedback from women. Like, I've never heard it put that way before, to kind of give you a new perspective on this so that the right guy just shows up. And it's just so much easier than you've ever experienced.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Helena. And for those of you out there watching, please stay tuned for our next expert. I'm your host, Kim Quick, and we've had Helena Hart here, an amazing expert that taught us how to be in our feminine and attract that great guy.